I'm Marcus Blake from the studio at That Nerd Show, and we're doing a virtual interview from the Naples Film Festival with Finnerty Steeves and Jack Lewars over the film, Before, During, and After. And first of all, I want to say I love the title, very simplistic, and I think it just sums it up about this film. Finnerty, you wrote this movie. I got to ask, I thought it was hilarious. Where was the inspiration behind this?
Well, it is inspired by my own seemingly perfect marriage blowing up. So yes, because I'm an actor. My career has been as an actor. I'd never written anything before, and my seemingly perfect marriage fell apart. So I thought, I knew that as it was happening, as heartbreaking as it was, there was just a lot of humor, things that were, there was obviously I was heartbroken, but there was just certain things that were happening around me that seemed that I knew would be funny in time, even though I wasn't able to laugh at in the moment. I was aware that there were just some absurdities that might be worth trying to explore down the line. So so this was my first attempt at screenwriting, and I wanted to try to write what it felt like to go through a divorce, which is why it takes around a time. And yeah.
Some of the scenes that you're, referring to maybe as comedic, as they actually happen, and speaking with Finnerty after reading the script, in a lot of ways they were more fantastical than what made it into the movie, and we felt like we had to cut it back because they were so unbelievable at points, right, that were actually happened, to her.
I don't know. I think those are kind of the best stories. Like, no one's gonna believe this happened. But remember what Graham Greene said: writing is a form of therapy. So when you're going through a tough time, if it's tragedy, write about it. And I'm sorry that it was personal, but again, I mean, it turned out to be a fantastic story, the way it was portrayed. The very first thing I laughed at in the film was the therapist, and I have a girlfriend who's a therapist, and I was sharing this with her about his recommendation of don't talk to each other and more sex. That cracked me up. It's like, really, is that a solution? And I asked her that, and she just kind of rolled her eyes at me. Apparently not. But I have to ask, was that an actual suggestion by someone, or was just something you came up with?
No, obviously the film itself, it takes on a life of its own, right? So it sort of it's inspired by certain people, but I will say that the character that was inspired by, the things that were said in the room were worse. Like Jack was saying, we had to kind of scale back, because at a certain point, I think people would be frustrated with Jenny that she wasn't. I mean, the whole point was that her world is knocked sideways, so she doesn't. I mean, as it was happening to me, there was a part of me that's like, this is crazy, right? Like, people don't. This is, and so in putting some of that in there, it was just people. We didn't want people to get frustrated with Jenny that she would take that, so it had to be the right amount of absurdity, but also that we could see her sort of stand up for herself. And
another interesting thing, for me, was you're doing this when you have an audition, and you're trying to wrestle with all of these issues while you have an audition. On the one hand, this can completely wreck your audition, but on the other hand, do you feel like that it might fuel that emotion or tap into something that you didn't think you had, because this is real world kind of tragedy and you're trying to turn it into comedy? So my question is, did you have like an audition kind of after all this was going on, and this kind of helped fuel that audition?
Yes, I had an audition for a beautiful play called Dinner with Friends, I think is the name of it. And it was shortly after I asked my ex to move out, and I could barely read the script. It meant so. I knew this character. I was like, oh my God, this is me. I can do this. I could barely breathe in reading it. It meant so much to me. And then I went in the room and I could not go there. Like, I've always been a pretty emotionally connected actor. And I went in the room and I was just like this. And I didn't know, and the director said to me, he goes, listen, I'm going to stop you, and almost word for word said, like, this is a woman, if you can even imagine, this is a woman, whose life she thought she knew is gone. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So he's like, let's try again. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't go there. And I was devastated because I thought that was being taken from me too, is my ability to have empathy and to connect. And I thought, oh my God, is that gone also? And, but I was fascinated with that idea as artists, as actors, as directors, but that we use our life to fuel us. And so obviously I tinkered with the timeline in terms of this film, but I wanted to play with this idea of her fighting for herself and going back for that opportunity.
Jack, what drew you to this project?
It was the script. Initially, I got the script actually through my wife, and I read it, and it was just so well written. I like the idea of the, kind of a smaller vignette stories that, kind of thread through, like you said, it kind of goes the roller coaster. It's very funny, but it also is dealing with a darker matter. And also, I like that, not that I like that it happened to you, Finnerty, but I like that it was so, such a real story, and that you could talk to her and ask her questions about how things went down. And, it was very interesting that way as well. And
you got this through your wife. Was the conversation, honey, you have to do this?
I believe, was it a writing class, maybe together, Finnerty? I can't remember. And she just came home and said, hey, you have to read this. And then my wife is actually also the producer on the film. And she said, let's read it. And then, we kind of approached Finnerty saying, hey, we'd like to make this with you. And so that's when the conversation got started.
Right. I am always fascinated about films that are made in New York. I have a kid sister that lives in Queens, works on Broadway. Well, not really now, but, and it's something that her and I talk about, that New York is very much a character of its own. You get the landscape and everything. Do you feel like this film would have as much power or be as emotional if it were done somewhere else? Because I watched it and I felt like New York is that perfect place. You don't get the same feel for the film if it was done in a different city.
Yeah, I would agree. I guess if you're somewhere else, you're just not around so many people. I feel like definitely New York was a big character, and that's something we talked about a lot. When we were approaching reshoots, we were trying to think about how we could get other pieces of New York in. We had a whole shoot we were going to do on the train on one of the subways that didn't make it in the end. But yeah, definitely. I think it's harder to hide. If you're, living in the suburbs, it might be easier for you to hide from kind of the sorrow you're going through in a situation like that. But, in New York, you can't really hide from it as well. Everywhere you turn, there's somebody there seeing how you're doing, so you kind of have to be, on the forefront with it, which I think definitely added an element.
Finnerty, since this is the first screenplay that you wrote, now that it's done, you have a film. Do you feel like the process is going to be easier now?
I think so. I have to admit that the one thing I do need to learn I cannot wait to write again. Like, I'm really excited about creating now that we've done this together, but it took so many hands and so many favors, and I've learned a lot. And in a way, I'm glad I didn't know what was ahead of me when I said, like, I'm going to make this, I'm glad I didn't know. I hope that doesn't hold me back, but I just got lost in the actual question. So sorry.
No, I was just, if you feel like it'll be easier next time when you write something.
Yes,
I feel like there will be a next time. You're not done. You did this first one. You're ready to go now.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to do that again. I will say that I need to learn how to, as an actor, what I love about acting is, like, you get this opportunity and then it's so much crazy focus for a certain amount of time. And I feel like you can do that as an actor where you're in neutral, then you're like, I'm up, and you're up to bat, and you're just like researching and in the world and daydreaming, and and the ball is in the air for that amount of time, whether it's for 2 days on set or whether it's like a 3-month run of a play or whatever. But to do a film and to have that energy, I need to learn how, as a producer, to let the balls fall for a second and then come back in the room and lift them. Because I felt the sense of to like keep these balls in the air for 4 years, and I'm like, that's
Right.
what I won't do next time. I feel like, yeah, that energy is does not.
All right. Your last question. This is always the hardest with our outlet because, again, we're testing your inner nerd. If you could have a weapon of choice or a superpower from within the nerd universe to fight the forces of evil, what would you choose? And I'm going to start with you, Finnerty. No, this is the one that stumps her. Like, God, no, I really have to think about it. Well, Jack, do you have a quick answer?
Maybe some sort of like mind control, where I could. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not like.
That's always an easy one for directors. Like, just get them to do what I want.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe something like that. Highly suggesting something that goes through.
Right.
Yeah.
And Finnerty, how about you?
Can I have two?
Absolutely.
I see so many people so in their heads, and I wish there was a way for me to be like, boop, like wave something. Like New Yorkers are so, you see them like working through stuff,
Right.
like walking on the street. And I just want to say, like, don't replay that. Like, and as someone who does that, wish I had a way to like, let them be in the moment and to look up, because like I might be smiling at somebody, but you see them replaying like a past hurt.
That's a good one. What's the other one?
That people, the lying, there's a way to like, you go to lie and it's like, you can't lie. You could like, the person is not allowed to lie. That would be,
nice.
Yeah.
I feel like you're about to write a movie about Finnerty goes to Washington and makes them all tell the truth.
But Carrie did something similar. I'm thinking that I might be copying
Liar. Yeah. Great answers. Well, like I said, it was a delightful film. Congratulations on your first writing project, and definitely look forward to seeing more from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcus.
Hello there, fellow nerds. I'm Marcus Blake, the editor and producer of That Nerd Show, and we need your help. That's right, we need your support. Like any news outlet, we rely on advertising and donations to keep the lights on. To be the greatest show in this universe, we need funding, and that's where you come in. Like most artists out there, we actually have a Patreon account, and we're asking for donations. But we're not just asking for you to give us money. We actually have stuff that we're going to be giving away if you donate. So we'll be uploading more and more videos to our Patreon account from YouTube, from our daily news to interviews with celebrities to gaming videos and all of our other individual shows that we are doing here in 2020. But to keep us going, we need a little bit of funding. And then again, that's where you come in. So it can be as little as $1. $1 makes all the difference in the world. And you can do anywhere from $1 to $3 to $5, all the way up to $500. And we're going to be giving stuff away for your donations. So you could get some Nerd Power wristbands or any other wristbands from our series of wristbands that we're creating for nerds. You can get cool retro gaming t-shirts from our Nerd Swag shop if you make a donation of $20 or more. You can even get advertising on our website or within our videos if you make a purchase or donate $50 or more dollars. We have different tiers, like most artists. Want that new video game that's coming out this year? You want to be playing the same video game we are as we're reviewing it? Hey, you can do that with a $100 donation. Are you looking to get a new console before the year is out? Hey, $500 and you can get an Xbox One, a PlayStation 4, or even a Nintendo Switch. It just takes a little bit to help us. As little as $1 per video that we do. And we're going to have a variety of videos that you can help support. So if you like our content, if you like everything that we do as nerds, from honest conversations about pop culture to great celebrity interviews to wacky and fun gaming videos, then help support us on our Patreon account. You can check us out at patreon.com/That Nerd Show. You can check us out at patreon.com/that. Take 3. Go to patreon.com/That Nerd Show and make your donation today. Even if it's just $1, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you and stay nerdy.